Hello and welcome to Today at United. My name is Hayder and I'm your host today. I'm joined by two fantastic guests. I'm joined by Neil for the third time. Neil, it's a pleasure to be working with you again today. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks.
Brilliant. I'm joined by Gary today as well. Gary, first time we worked together, but I'm really excited. How are you feeling today, mate?
Okay, thanks.
Brilliant. And to all the listeners, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're producing some excellent content, one morning show, one evening show. Make sure you get into the comments, hit the like button again. Like I said, hit that retweet button, get this around to so many people as much as possible. We want to get as many United fans getting involved with our great content. Look, let's start on a positive note. And I want to say it's a positive note because United won their first game yesterday. Look, we'll start with you, Neil. United made difficult work of it last night, I think. I wouldn't say it was a vintage performance. I will be honest, and I know we did speak, we did message each other yesterday during the game, and I said, we're looking slow and uninspiring for large parts. I'm just going to ask you, is this something to be concerned about? Because, look, I know it's the second game. It takes a bit of time to obviously get yourself into gear, get that match fitness. But for large parts of that, I think it was difficult to see which one was Luton and which one was Man United.
Yeah, watching that game last night, I was a bit worried about how ponderous we looked. How sort of we didn't look very fit. And I'm wondering the efforts that they put in at the back end of last season, which was like only about 3 or 4 hours ago, wasn't it? Maybe have taken a lot out of them, and they could have done with more of a proper break, which no teams have had. But maybe the efforts of getting to the Europa League, going so far into that, has just took the edge off their fitness moving forward. And I've always worried about how sort of the last 20 minutes in games we look like we're struggling with our fitness, especially since Ollie's took over. So I do question the fitness staff and the strength coaches.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've had a problem with for a while. And Gary, I'm going to come over to you. But United, for years now, we've had probably one of the worst injury records, haven't we? You look at how many players are on the injury table year in, year out, and United have a really bad record at that. And something that we did hear when Jose left, and we were one of the worst when it came to running under Jose. We were at the bottom in terms of working hard during games. It's something I like to see. And maybe this is a little bit old-fashioned, but I expect United to work harder than any other team. That's the bare minimum, isn't it? The bare minimum requirement is you leave everything out on the pitch. I wouldn't say United didn't work hard yesterday, but are you concerned that we have been told under Ollie that we're going to have a high-pressing, high-intensity game, but we just don't press as a team? We don't seem to do that.
We're only the second game in. We played one pre-season game, and other clubs have played 4 or 5. Luton have played, how many games have they played leading up to yesterday's game? 4 or 5 games?
Something like that, yeah.
And whatever pre-season they had as well. So I'm not too worried, to be honest. I thought we started off okay for the first 20 minutes, like we always do in games, and then we tend to sort of drop off a little bit. And I think Luton just gave it a really good go, because they were good, weren't they? They were up for it. They were playing United. I think we did okay in parts. Yes, as Neil said, a little bit worrying about fitness, match sharpness, but I think it will come. I'm just happy that we got the result at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Gary, I'm going to keep you there because we've got a comment from Yash. Hi, Yash. Welcome to the show today. We're talking about Mason Greenwood. He was definitely a positive, wasn't he? Mason is so good in getting other players involved. For 14 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist. We saw him actually play centrally. I thought that was quite interesting. A lot of people are saying, he's probably not ready to play centrally. He's probably someone who probably needs to fill out a little bit. He looks better on the wing, but I was really impressed, and he's someone that's definitely positive. And Nicole's here. Morning, Nicole. Hope you're all doing well today. So, yeah, what were your thoughts on Mason when he came on?
Yeah, he made a difference. I think he's going to be he's going to be a number 9 eventually. I think that's where they'll play him. Because I think he's just so good. He's 2-footed as well. Playing him on the wing at the moment, I think he's just learning his trade. But I think at the end of the day, I think eventually he will be a number 9 player. That's where he'll be.
Yeah, I agree with that. Akil, hello, mate. The difference in quality between the first team and the second string of players is huge. If we don't strengthen the squad, we'll struggle, especially when we are playing the Champions League. Look, I don't think anyone can really disagree with that, can they, Neil? We know the difference between that first 11 and what's after it. Look, I've said since the beginning of the season, since the beginning of the summer, and maybe this is me being a little bit cautiously optimistic, but I've said that first 11 can, when they're on their day, can go and beat anyone in the league. The problem arises when you have 1 or 2 injuries in key positions. But Donny van der Beek looked sharp. I think he looked a cut above the rest. Him and Juan Mata, I did tweet, have struck up a lovely sort of partnership and understanding during the game. That was the positive for me. Juan Mata, I've always said, looks better with players on the same level in terms of footballing brain. When I look at the players, when he does play, he's shifted out on the right. I don't think there's players like Lingard who are on that level with him. But him and Van der Beek linked up beautifully. Were you impressed with Van der Beek yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Neil. Go on.
Sorry, no, you go, Gary.
Okay.
Oh, we're going Gary on Neil.
All right. Okay. Sorry. I think Van der Beek's movement off the ball was fantastic last night. I think these Dutch players are so clever. They're sort of trained from a young age how to play movement and everything. I just think he is going to be a real talent for us and a real asset. People sort of comparing him to Bruno, but he's a completely different player. Bruno takes more risks at goal, whereas Van der Beek's happy just to move off the ball and set players up. He's a little bit unselfish, and I think he was a little bit unselfish last night, but I think he is going to be a quality player for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Neil, I'm going to go on to you. Do you agree with Gary's assessment of Van der Beek? What I like about Van der Beek is that I really like the fact that, like Gary said, we've got a lot of players that like to take ball to feet. They like to carry it, but he's actually very, very intelligent with his movement. And you saw with the penalty, obviously, he managed to set that up. I mean, I thought he was really impressive. Yeah,
he's a quality player. He looks cheap. He looks cheap last night. I know we talk about transfers and ridiculous money. And you've got to take into account he was playing against Luton, who have started the season very well, Luton have, back under Nathan Jones. But I think Van der Beek looks like he'll be in the starting 11. He should be in the starting 11 based on last night. I don't know what he's going to do, whether they can release Pogba to get Pogba further up, get more of the flamboyance of Pogba going. I don't know how he's going to do it, Ollie. He might have to change the system or something. But Van der Beek, for me, must start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to read out Nicole's comment. Result, brilliant. Execution, not the best. Changing the team once the subs came on shows, again, the lack of depth in the comparison. Positives to be had from the lessons from the game. Completely agree. Look, that is absolutely exactly how I feel about it. I just don't see the overreaction. A lot of people were getting overreacting. Look, United got their first win. It was important to get the result. As Nicole said, we know that we have quality that was meant to come off the bench. They definitely made a difference. I'm going to read out a few comments, guys. Joe, hello, mate. We look like we're severely lacking match fitness. That's what Gary said. This is our second game. Look, whether you agree with it or not, United, I think they've messed up in the preseason wise. We saw that against Palace. We were undercooked, and Palace just looked so much more sharp than us. And you play that game, a month or two later, United wiped the floor with Palace. I do believe that. Yash, Fred is definitely not a CDM. Another one like Van der Beek. We need a backup option. Gary, I'm going to come to you because I don't necessarily agree with this. I actually think that when you look at Fred, and he started in the semi-final against Sevilla, he's a player for me who doesn't quite have the attacking passing range or ability that Pogba has. So I wouldn't be playing Fred at an 8. I would say playing Fred as a 6, rotating and Matic is probably his best position. For me, I just think when you look at, for example, Matic in the side, positionally he's so brilliant, he's so calm, excellent passing range. Anyone apart from him will be a drop down. But are you impressed with Fred? Are you someone that likes Fred? Because I see a lot of people calling Fred out yesterday, but I thought he had a good game.
In parts he did okay. For me, Matic was the standout player in midfield yesterday, and he has to start on Saturday. I think McTominay, he looked lost on Saturday, so I think Matic has to start on Saturday. Fred, for me, just does a lot of running around. He does put in the odd tackle as well, but I think he gives away the ball too many times. That's my only opinion of him, I think. Cost a lot of money. 60 million quid was a lot of money. Yeah, and
we'll go on to transfers in a bit, but Neil, last one on the result, then we're going to talk about Jadon Sancho, because you can't do a United show without Jadon Sancho.
Sancho again.
Yeah, for about the 4 millionth time. But look, guys, to all the listeners, thank you for all your comments. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get involved. I'll try and read as many of your comments out, whether I agree with them or not. That's not the point. I want to get everyone to get involved. I want as many opinions as possible. Neil, I'm going to read this comment out to you. Eric Bailly it's by Akil. He made Maguire a lot more secure at the back. We had no wingers playing yesterday. Mata likes to cut inside. Same for Lingard. As soon as Mason and Rashford came on, we looked so good. I just want to touch on Bailly because I have said this before, that if Eric Bailly can keep fit, then he's a massive asset to Man United. I'm not so sure that he is a long-term option. I just think he's very rash. But that could be down to game time. He hasn't played enough in the last couple of seasons. But next to Maguire, we looked a lot better, albeit it was Luton. But he has that recovery pace. He has that aggression, something that Lindelof is lacking, in my opinion. So would you be interested, or would you be looking to see Bailly start on the weekend next to Maguire?
I'd be stunned if he didn't start. Absolutely stunned. I'd rather play me alongside Maguire than Lindelof. I've got plenty of issues. But I think Lindelof days a number. I wouldn't be surprised if they got an offer for him and they let him go. The way he played Saturday, because his confidence will be shot to pieces. Bailly's problem is his fitness, and that's it. And I think if he stayed fit, and if's a big word for 2 letters, if he could stay fit, I think he'd be great. I agree with Salman there. I think he'd be great for us. And I know I've said in the past I like Bailly, but I'd still go for Upamecano. I think he'd be the perfect partner for Maguire. But if we could get Bailly fit, then yeah, I'd keep him playing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Gary, do you agree with that as well? Bailly, you'd like to see starting on the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a ball-playing defender, which is what we need. And Maguire's more of a, goes in for the headers and the aggression, but Bailly makes more of the runs, and that's what we miss. We miss that in the team, I think. Lindelof, I don't know what to make of him anymore. I mean, he was linked to Barcelona at one point, apparently. But yeah, I think Bailly has to start as long as he's fit. Every time I see him go over, I get worried. I think he's got injured. He's made of glass. Let's be honest, he is made of glass.
Absolutely. Look, what I will say is I honestly don't think not to be negative, I don't think any United centre-backs are good enough. If United want to be where they want to be, I don't even think Maguire's good enough. If Maguire's your best centre-back, you've got a ceiling, and that's the problem. And Danny Armstrong, why have we got Southern accents? Hello, mate. I have got a Southern accent. Nice to see you on the show. It's because Man United is a global club, so the more the merrier. Different accents, that is fine with me, and that should be fine with everyone. So thank you for listening today, mate. And I don't think Neil's got a Southern accent, but me and Gary, we're Southerners, and we're Southern and proud. But anyway, let's move on to Sky's report last night. And Sky said that United knew well in advance. And look, what I will say is I'll put a little sort of disclaimer in, because I just think Sky are the most unreliable ones around at the moment. But they said that United knew well in advance about the 1st of August deadline for Jadon Sancho, and that United did not make any contact with them. Instead, they focused on sorting out issues with agent fees and personal terms. Look, what I will say about the Jadon Sancho issue is that Sancho, we knew what we needed for Jadon Sancho. We knew what we had to pay earlier on in the window. What I don't understand is why United wasting the whole summer trying to sort out the agent's fees and trying to sort out all the personal terms when they're not even bothering to sort out the fee first, because there's no point doing any of that until you've got the fee agreed. My opinion on that, United have wasted all summer chasing him. They knew who's his top target. It also suggests to me that United don't have a backup. That's what I think, and we're going to rush into a Perisic or a Douglas Costa if it doesn't work. Look, I'm going to start with you, Neil. Does it frustrate you that we have chased our top target, yet we've wasted the whole summer chasing him, and it doesn't look like we're any closer to putting the money down? We can't agree on the fee structure. We can't agree on how it's gonna, how we're gonna pay it. And I just think that United will end up with egg on their face. And I'm just not confident about this deal, if I'm being honest.
Well, I have a weird, I don't know why, but I mean, it's like Groundhog Day with United. They always spend ages chasing their major target, and then suddenly, amazingly, they manage to get him at the end. But Sky have just piled in, and the press piling about Sancho and blaming this and blaming that. And let's be honest, we really don't know exactly what's going on and what has been discussed. It's just conjecture and rumour. And Sky love to lead with something about United because they get views, they get clicks. Just we're the biggest club in the world, and that, so if Sky don't lead with us, then they lose. They're going to lose views. And I don't believe anything that comes out of Sky, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed.
They're doing the same as we're doing, just searching the gossip sites, and they really don't know anything. And I'm disappointed in Woodward, and that's an understatement, because I'm not going to swear at 10 o'clock in the morning and judge. And that's quite an ironic surname, because he's clearly a poor judge, because he can't be Jack. let's wait and see. But I just have this sneaky suspicion they're going to get him.
I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I'm going to bring up this comment here from Danny. Danny, look, mate, this is not a nice comment to make. We're all United fans, so if you've got a problem,
Yeah, get Danny on.
If you've got a problem, mate, then I wouldn't get involved in this site. So go and find a site with more Mancunian accents. Neil's obviously a Northerner, but yeah, we do great work. We love United, so it doesn't make a difference to us, mate. But yeah, if you don't want to listen, then switch off. That's fine with us. Anyway, guys, some great comments here from Yash. He says, "Wouldn't Sarr or Upamecano be more beneficial to the team as a whole rather than just Sancho?" Gary, I'm going to pass it over to you. Look, I do think that at the beginning of the summer, I said Jadon Sancho's priority, world-class talent, potential world-class talent. But I do think that looking at our defensive frailties, if United can get Sarr for, let's say, 35 million, they can get Upamecano for like 50 million, and then Tellez for about 20 million. That represents fantastic business and filling in 3 areas of our side that really do need investment.
Yeah, it'd be a good transfer window if we got all those 3. I think Sancho's just far too much money, but that's what they want for him, and I think United should pay it. But as Neil said, he's got a feeling it might still happen or not. Part of me thinks there's a slight inkling it's going to happen as well. I just don't understand why United agree agent fees and personal terms of a player without even negotiating a transfer fee in the first place. You do that first, then you go and do the personal bits. They've done the opposite. It's a strange way of how we do transfer dealings, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to keep you here because Akil said it's clear that United always sort of a 10th of August deadline is artificial and didn't respect it. They still believe Dortmund will sell if they pay the amount. Not sure why it's dragged on so long. And that's the point. Look, I see sometimes people do agree on personal terms, but the point is that if you can't go and sort out the fee, and that you've got a structure of the fee. And this is the thing that frustrates me about United, is that United have had Jadon Sancho as a top target for over a year now. They knew exactly in the summer what was going to happen. So exactly what you need to do. They should have been talking to the agent probably in March, really, and should have been securing the personal terms then, so that as soon as the summer hit, I honestly said, after we got beaten by Sevilla in that fashion, I was like, go and put the money in for Sancho. So doesn't that frustrate you that what are we doing in this time? And I'm going to read out one comment here from I'm Ollie. So hello, mate. Everest said they send lawyers to meet the players. That's so wrong. I mean, it just stinks, doesn't it, of non-footballing position in footballing positions, doesn't it?
Well, that's probably how all clubs do it. It's just that it's highlighted more because it's United that this transfer saga is dragging on so long. Lawyers are always involved in negotiations and transfers regardless. And we're talking about a large sum of money here. We're not talking about £500,000. It was just still a lot of money in anyone's book, but we're talking about £108 million. Lawyers are going to be involved regardless. It's just why. It's just because it's United. It's because it's United. We're under the spotlight. It keeps viewers on Sky Sports. It keeps the back pages full. Yeah, it's just the way it is, isn't it? It's always been the case. Yeah,
absolutely. Look, there was reports coming out from Duncan Castles and Ian McGarry in their transfer podcast, Neil, and they said that there was an unscheduled emergency recruitment meeting at Carrington on Monday. Look, you can take that a few ways. My issue with this, and you can read it as, oh, it's good, they're going to talk about transfers. Honestly, my view is that it's a joke that they're meeting at this time in the window to talk about what? Ollie has a list. I'm convinced, whether you think Ollie's a good manager or not, that's beside the point. He's not an idiot. He would have given them a list and say, I want this player, this player, this player. And on that list, it would have had options B and C for each of those areas if United missed out on their top targets. Now, why are they meeting? And this is, look, you can have a different view to this, but why are they meeting when you know what needs to be done? Go and talk to the other clubs, go and negotiate, go and get the players in for Ollie. And I will say this, that United have completely neglected the footballing side of the game. They have not had a footballing man in their position since David Gill left. And you look at the business side, I guarantee that if there was a position equivalent to the director of football on the business side, or if Edward would left tomorrow, the Glazers in a second would know who they'd put in as the CEO. They would know who the money man is. They care about that side, but they have zero care and zero interest in the footballing side. They've neglected it for this long. And any manager that comes in is just going to flounder. Jose floundered. Louis van Gaal floundered. Ollie's going to flounder this season if we go in with the squad that we've got. And what I'm going to say to you is that they don't care. I mean, am I right in thinking this, or am I being a little bit over dramatic this morning?
I think I think you're being a little bit harsh, and I know you quite well now. So for an out-of-towner, I think you've been a little bit harsh there. Does that chap realise that Ollie's from Norway, by the way? Because that's further out of town than I am.
Yeah.
But the Glazers, the only way they're ever going to get a return on the investment is success on the pitch, and that's a fact. So we need a director of football. I mean, banging my head against, it's like banging it against the brick wall. We've been saying this since we started these shows. We need a director of football, and that's it. And someone in that position that can talk both sides of the same coin. And that's what we need. And never mind getting Van der Beek from Ajax. I've said it before. We should go and get Van der Sar because he obviously knows what he's doing. Look at the side he's built at Ajax. For that manager, it's the Glazers are frustrating, yeah. But Woodward frustrates me even more because it's like he's spending his own money. And that's what drives me insane. It's the club's money and it's the fans' money. You know, we are the club, even the ones that live far away. So I'm going to keep banging that drum, by the way, because that guy's proper done me in there.
That's all right, Neil. Don't take it. He's come on here to troll you, and that's fine. Look, at the end of the day, what I will say is, at the end of the day, United. Yeah, the reason why United is so big is because of the diverse fan base. If he has that narrow-minded thing, that's fine.
No, that's fine if he doesn't understand that. A lot of the players aren't from Manchester either, by the way. That's another point. But anyway, I sort of blame the Glazers somehow. But you think if they've been involved in the club for this long, they can see the success. I can't believe Ferguson's not banging doors down up there because he must be sitting watching that on Saturday and doing his nut. It's just, I look at Ferguson and I would love him to get involved, at least bang a few heads together and try and get this sorted out. Mark's probably right. Great picture, Mark. Great profile. He's a good looking, you know.
He is a good-looking kid. Hello, Mark. Nice to see you here. Look, that's the thing. I will say, and Akil said it earlier, but I can't find it. The comments gone further up. But he did say that United wouldn't still be in for Sancho if they weren't interested, and I agree with that. But at the end of the day, and this is the misconception people have, that Dortmund need the money. Dortmund made a loss this year, but United made a loss. Many clubs have made a loss. It's COVID. I don't have an issue with COVID being a problem in terms of finances, but the point is that you're seeing other teams with lesser financial might spending money. So that drum is, you can't beat that drum, unfortunately. And Gary, look, at the end of the day, people do say, United are monitoring players, they're doing this, they're doing that. The reason why people are frustrated is because we see this every summer, isn't it? It's not just one thing. It's not just one summer. This is every summer we do this. We did that. And then eventually the manager fails.
I think the other clubs, they're spending beyond their means. I mean, you've got the likes of Tottenham, Liverpool and Arsenal. Apparently, they all furloughed their non-playing staff and then all of a sudden they backtracked. We've not even mentioned about furloughing any staff at United. It's just the way we run, obviously. But obviously, I know we've got debt and all that sort of thing. But there was no mention of us furloughing any of our non-match playing staff, whereas Tottenham did, Arsenal did, and Liverpool, and they all backtracked because of the public pressure, because it's in the media. Back to what you were saying about the Glazers, they're businessmen at the end of the day. There is a bit of love there, I think, because there's Joel Glazer. Apparently, he loves the club. But there's got to be some sort of love for the club. But just they're obviously trusting Ed Woodward to run the whole thing. I think if Sir Alex was still there, he was basically a director of football, manager, coach, all rolled into one. He did that well. And I think the club needs director of football. We've never had one. Sir Alex, when he was there, didn't want one. He said he was happy to do it. And like you said, David Gill, we went to David Gill for a player, got him the next couple of days. And that was the same, with Ronaldo. When Ronaldo was there at Sporting Lisbon, and the players raved about him in the dressing room, within a couple of days, he was signed for United. That just doesn't happen anymore at United because we haven't got... Ed Woodward isn't a football man. He's a commercial sponsorship person. He doesn't know about the football side.
Absolutely. And like I said, would the Glazers appoint Ollie to go and do the financial side? No. So why is a financial guy doing the footballing side? And that's the point. That it has to be fair on both sides. The last point I'll make on this is that, look, my sort of view on all of this is that United, I don't want us to go and spend crazy money on Galacticos every year. I just want to see a plan. I want to see progress. I want to see more methodical recruitment. I want to see more scouting. I'm happy to see the next Ronaldo come in, someone that we can develop. That's fine with me. I just want to see a plan. Look, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but what I will say about the situation is that I've said many times I'll wait till the 5th of October when the deadline ends. And my last point on this before we move on to some positive news is that at the end of the day, they are businessmen. So if United got top 400 million, unfortunately, that's the commercial objective. If Manchester United want to get into first place, I think the return is about 30 to 40 million. That's how much extra you'll get from first to fourth. So as a businessman, and this is how they think, guys, you have to remember this. They're not like me and you, obviously Gary and Neil. We're all United fans. You want to see us win. But they look at it and think, if I put an outlay of 200 million, then if my return is 30 million extra, what's the point of doing that? If I can do it organically, if I can do it through the academy, not spending a penny, if I can get a manager in that is happy to work within a budget, then that's great for me. And that's the point that people have to understand. What we want or what our ambitions are not matched by the owners. And unfortunately, I don't see that changing until they go. But let's move on to some positive news. I'm going to start with you, Neil. 4,038 consecutive first team games since October 1937 with an academy graduate in the matchday squad. How important is this record to United fans? And do you think that this is something which has lost its importance over the years with the modern fan?
Definitely. I think there's a section of Man United fans that don't understand it, don't get it, don't realise there was football before the Premier League. I talked about Jimmy Murphy and impact and why he should have a statue and why he started with Samat. I think it's fantastic when the youth players come through, and I think the majority of fans love it when the youth kids come on. One of our own, doesn't matter where they're from, by the way, because I think Greenwood's from Bradford, and that's out of 10. It's
really got to you, that, hasn't it?
Yes. So it's touched the nerve, and I've got a few nerves that can be touched. So it's massively important. It's part of the history of the club, and it's something that we should be proud of. No matter how the team plays, we keep bringing through the youth. And under Ole, I genuinely believe we still will bring through the youth. And it should be applauded. I think Nicky Butt's doing a fantastic job with the young players now. And he, could he be go on to be the next Jimmy Murphy? Who knows? But he's brought some fantastic players through.
Yeah, I agree. I think, Gary, do you echo those thoughts as well? Look, United, when they've been successful, we always need to move with the times. That's important. But I think in the years past, we don't maybe acknowledge how important it is to have academy players in our squad. They make up the fabric of the squad. And what I will say, though, is that is there something that people say, and maybe it's true, that at a time United fans perhaps overlook someone's ability and they do focus on the fact they are a local lad, because that's also negative as well, isn't it? That when you place so much trust into a player, a lot of fans do this. I'm not going to name any names on these players, but there are players that probably aren't up to the required standard to start, but because they're local lads, they're seen as indispensable. Is that fair to say, or would you say that United have to have 3 or 4 or 5 local lads who make up sort of the backbone of the club?
I think youth's policy, been the club's policy for many generations now, but youth is the lifeblood, should be the lifeblood of any club, not just United. There's a lot of clubs out there. I mean, hate to mention City, they're their infrastructure, but they've spent all that money, but on how many youth players have they produced? There's not many, is there? And they've got it all set up there. We've done ours over generations, and they're not bringing many players through. It's whether Pep just doesn't like to play youth, which we know anyway. He likes the easy option and just to bring players in, whereas we still bring players in, but we like to bring youth in, put more youth in, like Rashford, Greenwood, Williams. There's players like that are coming through, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, what I will say is that there's a comment here. We're talking about selling players. I'm Ollie's. I don't see us signing more players because we still have Deadwood to sell. That is true. Look, but what I will say is that you've seen that someone like Greenwood who can save United a lot of money, and whether you think that's right or wrong, I see a lot more perhaps enjoyment seeing Greenwood go and score goals than I would a new signing. And would you agree with that, Neil? There's more of that sense of pride. That doesn't mean if you're an out of towner that you can't obviously love the club. Because you look at Patrice Evra, and there's a few comments about Evra here. You can tell Evra loves the club. I don't want to go into what he said about the Glazers, etc. But there is that thing where even if you're not Manchester born and bred, you can still love the club just as much. You can still get the culture. You look at Bruno coming in. Bruno just gets it, doesn't he?
Yeah. Bruno's got it straight away. Ronaldo still loves the club. I mean, crikey. You only got to look at his social media side of it. He loves United. All these players that have played at United, they love it there. And you look the joy on Greenwood's face when he scores a goal. I love watching Greenwood play, and the fact that he's come through the youth. He's had a couple of indiscretions recently, but that's just people. He's a young lad, and they'll sort that out.
He's 18, isn't he?
He's 18. I wouldn't have seen him do that under Ferguson. That would have been an interesting chat in the manager's office. But you love to see the youngsters come through. The first time you saw Ryan Giggs and players like that coming through in the team, it's just fantastic.
Absolutely. And I'm going to finish on a few comments, guys. Mark has said that's the identity of United and we should continue to stand by that. It's instilled into these players about, I think he means what it means, and we don't want to lose that. Absolutely. I agree with that. And there's another one by Gil, and I'll finish on this. We are doing well with the academy. We are bringing in young players of huge potential from different parts of the world. Yeah, out-of-towners are fine. And if they could be developed and integrated with first team, it's a very good working model. Look, that's the thing. No one's saying we're just going to rely just on academy players. We need to invest. There's no two ways about it. We need more quality in that squad. We need to be smart. But I take massive pride, and I know these two gentlemen with me take massive pride as well. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you to all the listeners, and we will see you next time.